does take away like maybe a switching factor or confusion factor with the Phantasm Illusions. With a big B for core like that, you get a lot of value. And there's a lot of options with the Pugna here as well. And the CK, you could still run that CK offlane. You could still run it safe lane. If you're in a safe lane CK, you have the option to maybe run an offlane Pugna. Not sure if you really want that because the team fight starts to feel a bit lacking with that kind of duo. But the flex is there for MindGames if they want to, and that could cause BetBoom to think twice about the draft. They've been banning a bunch of mids so far. Pangolier, Puck, and they banned out the DK to start off as well. They took care of the PA, and now they take care of the Kotl just to disable some of that mana spamming that you might see, especially with a CK. CK Kotl does actually sound like a really painful lane with the stun into the Illuminate and the constant mana uptime for CK, who his one laning weakness is that paltry mana pool. So the Kotl does fix that. They just prevent that combo. MindGames will go for the Grimstroke. So they do have Reality Rift with Inkswell, the Chaos Vault as well, lots of chain stuns coming through. And now they can get really aggressive on whatever lane they plan to put that CK on.
Oh, thank you very much for that very long analysis, Jonathan. I do appreciate it. One thing I did want to point out is the fact that they like to run Chen quite a lot on BetBoom, just based off the previous series we have watched. And that's something I'm looking forward to. If we see a Chen Visage draft coming out, it's going to remind me back of the old days, Jonathan, when it was all about just running these Chen Visages and the Beastmasters and all this Zoo meta. Back when Necrobook still existed, naturally, one of the greatest items and the great tragedy in Dota 2 that it was removed, as we do have the Storm Spirit being picked up as well for BetBoom. I don't want to hear your opinions on Necrobook, Jonathan. When we have heroes like Tiny and Nature's Prophet just ratting constant, I don't want to hear it. Bring Necrobook back. Well, why do we have Helm of the Overlord for if Necrobook can't be there? Why? It's a great item.
Yeah. You have your Book of the Dead, Mike. You deal with it. You know, that's your Necronomicon now. That's all you'll get. BetBoom, they go into the Storm Spirit and the Shadow Demon now, so they've got the setup for the Mars in the offlane. They've got a really great support to kind of deal with a Pugna, as Demonic Cleanse is going to be really good to take off that decrep if it's used offensively. Demonic Purge is good if it's used defensively as well, so you can just handle all of the nuisances that the Pugna does cause. It's a really good way to kite around big core as well if they find a real CK. And in fact, just getting off the CK illusions with your own illusions from the Shadow Demon with the Disruption, it can be really big. They do a lot of damage. So a lot of utility coming through from that SD. Do like seeing it here. I am curious as to what position they'll run it. You are still likely to run the Mars plus Shadow Demon. There could be some flex here on hand for the side of BetBoom. It is kind of awkward to close out with a pause 5. So I'm keen to see if BetBoom will pull something silly, like run, say, the Seneko Shadow Demon, or really just close out with something special, like the Chen you mentioned still in the pool, if they wanted to do that in BetBoom's end.
I would love to see it. It's been so long since I've had the pleasure of casting a Chen games, John, and I realize they have picked up Chen in the previous series of BetBoom, but I want to see it for myself while we're casting, Jonathan, as they do go for the Invoker route here for MindGames. Fair enough, against the Storm Spirit, pretty much against any Spirit hero, Invoker does feel very, very nice going into that 1v1 mid matchup. A couple more banouts to come though for MindGames and BetBoom, of course, and it seems like BetBoom, they're just going to go ahead and focus on the offlane, as the Chen does get banned out. John, don't smile. You know I wanted to see the hero come out. Don't smile like that.
I wanted to see it too. It does look like a very promising hero in the right hands again. The healing was buffed, so you can heal a little bit more with that healing over time, which is, again, on a single tick every second. So it's not as quick as you'd expect, but over a prolonged fight, it can do a lot of work. And it's just one of those weird situations where, yeah, you're up against an Echo, they're last picking their support, they're forced to ban out the Undying Chen. And that gives BetBoom still a lot of supports to go with. Enchantress comes into mind, which is also banned. Jakiro comes out instead for BetBoom, so they've got a lot of great AoE damage coming through now, but MindGames go out with the Underlord. Quick drafts coming through from both sides, doing their research, and that should be our safely and CK now coming through with the offlane Underlord. The Underlord's been a bit up and down from the games we've seen, but there is a lot of jump potential with that teleport coming through, so there's a lot of offensiveness that you can get done. I like the matchup here as well for MindGames to have that Invoker versus Storm mid. You can get a lot of stable farm there. The Storm doesn't have as much presence at the level 3 spike, So a lot of back and forth there, Mike. Hard to say which draft I like better, though. I think both teams have really strong, unique drafts. I might lean towards BetBoom just a little bit more because I don't feel like I'm the kind of guy to go against the hack Visage, not after his performance in that previously.
No, I suppose I'd kind of go with you on that one, Jonathan, but we have seen him lose with the Visage, which is the point, Jonathan. It is not a guaranteed win here between these two, and again, one of these teams after this best-of-3 series is going to be qualified to the Stockholm Major, so quite a lot on the line between these two. Of course, BetBoom, I think, are going in as the favorites here, but can't underestimate MindGames either, as we do get into game number 1. I was going to ask you who had the better draft, John, but it seems like you've already kind of answered the question. So it looks like we're going to have some very awkward conversation until the game 1 does get underway. How are you feeling, Jonathan? I mean, best of 3 series here. It's currently 1:45 a.m. for you in the morning. Currently 3:45 for me. These are peak gamer hours, Jonathan. How you doing? And why are you wearing sunglasses at night, John? That's a bit unprofessional on a Dota 2 broadcast.
You shut your mouth, Mike. You know exactly why. You can see the ring lights when I tilt my head up. There it is. That's the reason why.
I can see everything. I can see everything, John. Be careful what you
see
watch.
Everything. No, I'm just tabbing around looking at, stats because I don't memorize anything. This is me every match, Mike. You're seeing the secrets.
Don't bring up your browsing history, John. Don't bring up any browsing history while you're on
Mike, I'm not an amateur. I'm not an amateur. I use incognito mode for everything, even my logins. I don't even I have to remember my passwords because I do that. It is what it is, Mike. That's the life of security for me, Mike.
Security for what, though, John? You'd have to have something to lose first.
That's fair. You're revealing my deep, dark secret that casting doesn't give you much.
What do you do? Anyway, game 1 should be a very hype matchup between these two. Again, one of these teams going to qualify to the major. A lot on the line. Already both teams hanging around the mid lane, prepping themselves for what could be a potential level 1 team fight, though I highly doubt it. You never know. We can only dream. BetBoom. We're in the mid-tier 1 tower for now. Same will happen for MindGames. And I guess you could still force a level 1 fight. It's not like the level 1s are too bad on either side. Noticed. He'll move in for a moment, but he does see quite a few heroes around him as they will move in and just kind of ignore. Not go for the fight. So BetBoom just want to play it safe. It is going to mean a 2-for-2 trade on the bounty runes anyway, so a nice even start. And by the way, John, because of what happened yesterday, before I do go on, could you please pronounce the name of the CK player?
CK player? Why are you trying to trick me into this?
Because you threw me under the bus yesterday. So I'm going to ask you the question before I mess it up.
Dinozavric? Something like that? I don't know, Mike. I thought you'd have a better grip on this.
Well, I was going to call him Dino, John. Just the classic Aussie Dino. But, that's probably not it, unfortunately. I think you might be more accurate. So we do have some lag issues once again. No problem. Go ahead, is there?
And, should be good to go while we're staring at the top lane. I am liking what I'm seeing with the CK and Grimstroke. As mentioned, you've got a lot of aggression here. Easy way to land the Inkswell with the Reality Rift pulled back. Good stun on the Chaos Bolt. The only issue for the CK is mana sustain is not his strong point. And there is still that aggression that can come out with the Shadow Demon and the Mars, although I do believe Force Major just used that disruption while the God's Rebuke came out, so they don't actually do damage. Gotta sync up that just a little bit. You have to respect the output of MindGames there. If they do get a good stun, the damage onto the Shadow Demon doesn't take too long to melt with the right clicks of that CK.
Yeah, I had the misfortune of having to play against CK today, John, and let me tell you, it's not very easy trying to lane against it. Just way too high of a base damage. Even at just level 1, already hitting for 70 on average per hit. So we'll have a look at the other lanes as well while we have a chance, of course. Mid lane, you're going to have the Storm Spirit versus the Invoker matchup. And again, the Invoker should feel pretty good here, but it does feel like Lyle's going to have a decent enough time anyway. It's not quite as bad as, say, playing Ember versus Invoker. I think the Storm does have a generally better time than, say, Ember or Void Spirit. Do you feel like there's anything Ankret can do to really make Lyle's life a living hell here, or Lyle maybe just be fine?
You just do the basic thing, block the creeps with EMP, force the choice onto the Storm, maybe avoid the level 3 spike. Larl is holding on to see if he can get that value point in the Vortex to get the double overload onto Aincrad. Otherwise, Rune Control is much more important for the Storm. And as long as Aincrad rides into level 4, level 5, that's when it starts to stabilize a little bit more for the Invoker. He could look for support rotations, mainly on the Grimstroke. I don't expect the Pugna will do much in a mid-rotation there, outside of just securing Ruin.
Fair enough. Of course, that final lane as well. Down at the bot lane, you're going to have Patushra and Bignum against Seneko and Dahak. You were very excited to watch the Visage playing, John. But there's one thing I know about Visage. Soul Assumption hurts quite a lot. It's not a very fun ability to have to play against, and as you saw Dahak, already throwing one out towards Patushra, it is just a hell of a lot of damage to have to deal with, and already seems like the Underlord and Pugna duo not having the greatest time.
And they've got some defensive choices. They do have at least that Nether Ward to mitigate some of that spell damage coming through. It's still not enough to really stop the Hack from spamming his spell type. I am keen to see that he does go level 2 Gravekeeper's Cloak for protection, not going for the Grave Chill for offensiveness. So looking to maybe just focus in on that farm, tank a couple of those hits from Firestorm, ensure that Pugna can't right-click trade and whittle you down too much. And it has been going pretty smooth here for Dahak. He is finding his farm 15-4. Again, Petrushara can't do too much on the Underlord to really stop that. He is opting for the levels in the Atrophy, so really a passive lane, looking to just farm up, but considering what the Underlord is good against, big right-clickers, it doesn't feel like the Hawk's gonna care about that all too much. Like, even if you do manage to find some CS off the back of that Atrophy, it's not stopping that Visage, and that ramp up for the Visage, if he does get his early Dominator, it just feels overwhelming.
Yeah. And I couldn't help but notice you pronounce it Perushara, Jonathan. You're gonna do me like that again, are you?
No, I'm just pronouncing it. Oh, yeah. Well, Mike, I have a different grasp in the English. Might be a wrong one. Very likely it's a wrong one, so just feel more confident about yourself. Don't look at me.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the supportive words, as we are going to have some tips coming out. Lal, he'll cop the tip here from Aincrad, and Lal's going to have to make the walk of shame back towards the fountain as Aincrad. He can just kind of chill in the mid lane and enjoy his CS. Mind you, the Storm Spirit is still well and truly ahead in terms of CS, so he's having a great old time. No problems here whatsoever for the Storm. I suppose things are going to get a little bit more challenging, though, before that level 6 mark, as now you do have the Urn up on the Invoker. Naturally, he's going to be looking to hunt for a kill to get that first 2 charges up. You know, if you're Lal, you might as well just go to the small camp, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Just keep that farm going and just secure that level 6 first before you get too active. In fact, he's just going to remain in the triangle here and just make sure that they can't gank him before that level 6 marks. And I think that is fairly smart here from Lal.
Yep. Just get the build up. He's been cut off from his Watt runes multiple times by Aincrad. And it's not a good feeling for Storm. We talked about the Storm having to secure runes in comparison to the Invoker. Emphasis not there. Up top, though, notice does get the shove away. So he does cut off that Inkswell combination, not quite getting the stun chain that Zavrik would have wanted. And that does save your Mars, but you are starting to see the aggression again coming out from MindGames. Your lanes can be strong, at least the top lane can be fairly strong. Still no first blood though, so a lot of patience from both sides to just work these lanes out.
Yeah, certainly so. First blood still yet to be taken by either side. Level 6 timings, still not there for Lal. Aincrad's having a very good time, but bot lane, that's where the eyes are right now, is this Visage, the Huck. Very good time down at that bot lane. I mean, no kills coming out yet down bot either, but it doesn't seem like they're interested in getting aggressive. Get those drums up. Start abusing those familiars. Go from there. Wants to secure that initial farm first as mid lane. We might have a bit of a fight to break out. Lal copying a fair bit of damage and draining a lot of mana here from Aincrad. But he's going to be okay. We'll just back off as Lal. We've got to be careful. Aincrad just out of spells to throw out against the Storm, so he does back off for now. So very tough times here for Lal, as luckily for him at level 6, he's going to be fine to just zip his way out every single time. Still, can't really sit in the mid lane and just lane in that area. Again, the game is still very slow, like everyone's just still casually laning. First blood is still yet to come out. It does seem like MindGames want to start applying pressure though, in that mid tier 1 tower. They've got the siege creep up. They'll force the glyph out and force 2 rotations out. Aincrad, he's going to be careful. Disruption is going to be there. EMP juked out. Aincrad, no, he's going to run. And he'll be just fine as the ice path does not land. And that's not a great feeling, John, considering you had the setup there with the disruption. They still end up missing.
You're just a bit too far behind there for Seneko to really follow through. Not quite in the right spot at the right time. And we still haven't seen First Blood. The aggression is ramping up. As you mentioned, they are wanting to get that aggression off now on MindGames, while the side of BetBoom is still trying to get that grip, especially from the mid. It's been such a slow game for Laurel. Like, yeah, the CS is looking good, but he's not ramping up in the way you'd expect a Storm to. He's still up there, number 3 in net worth. He does want the double null before he really plays.
We might have First Blood coming out here. Slayer top lane in danger. Might just drop here to notice. Chase is on. Slayer eventually will drop. Here comes Dino though. He'll try on to Force Major. Force, he'll go for a run, but they've got so much damage on this Chaos Knight. He's going to be able to at least trade supports, but if you are BetBoom, you'll be happy just securing that First Blood on your Mars.
It's a big start for Notice. Going to help him ramp up into that blink. Great use of the arena, just breaking off that lull to finally find our kills. The pressing issue for BetBoom right now is that they still haven't been able to control runes. Aincrad does take the 8-minute power rune regen that Laurel would have loved. So your Storm still not able to get that relief on the mid. He will at least get his bottle topped up. Does have level 7 with double null. So you do have some ways of playing now. Mana cost reduction is starting to pile up. Aincrad's just been way too on point with his use of EMP and Tornado though. So every single time Laurel is caught out, he really can't do much. Double null or not, when your man pool's empty, it does nothing.
Still a very tough time, like you mentioned, John Lal. This is a Storm, you're so dependent on power runes, and it hasn't been happening. Now Aincrad and Slayer, they're going to go for a 2-man smoke up towards the top lane. Back bot lane, there is a fight breaking out. Petushra gonna get stunned up. Soul Assumption will be there from Dahak, and Aincrad, he does rotate down with the TP and make sure the Underlord does survive, as they will just go ahead and just use the portal to go back towards the fountain. Get a bit of a reset going. So they will move in now. They do find Seneko on the Jack. And this Jakiro should eventually just be dead, as he will go for a bit of a run. In fact, turns back around. Ooh. That's a great ice path onto 3 heroes. Lal's going to rotate over. That'll be Aincrad going down. Lal, he'll go for a bit more. Bignum getting body blocked up. Lal just not going to allow him to escape. Do you want a bit more? Well, they won't dive the T1 towers. And Lal, yeah, there you go. I was going to say, John, that was a tip opportunity for Aincrad. He will give it over.
Oh man, that was all set up by the Huck just having his familiars go up, getting the good chain stunts off, and a great lineup set up for Seneko to just follow through, landing that big ice path this time around, netting them the big kills. We'll go for the deny on the tier 2, so doesn't want to waste the TP to reset, just wants to get on with his game. And just go back to the lane, apply that aggression. All that movement down bot has also opened up top here for Notice. Does get pretty much a solo lane, number 1 in net worth, right ahead of the CK. So his Blink's going to be coming out faster than you'd expect, and that is worrying. With a little bit of follow-through with that arena, with the AoE you have on Jakiro, and the presence of the Visage, BetBoom can play off the back of that Blink really quickly. Whereas the side of MG right now, it's not like they have big initiation the same way. CK is going to have a nice spike, but you don't necessarily have a big Blink initiator to start things off for you, unless Aincrad does get a good Tornado to start things off. It's going to be harder for them to force these bigger engagements that way.
Certainly will be. Double damage rune now available on Lal, so you finally got a power room going here for the Storm, and he could certainly look to make a big rotation out. Maybe down a bot lane where Aincrad is still hanging around on this Invoker. Show himself to Dahak, but Dahak just again very focused on his own farm on this Visage. Still very behind in terms of, you know, comparison to the CK, but it is to be expected. With the familiars up though, you might be able to speed up a little bit here for Dahak. Games, more than happy to just sit back and allow that Chaos Knight to keep the farm going. And speaking of the Devil, he'll TP down towards the bot lane now. Looks like they are ready to try and secure that bottom tier 1 tower. This could be a very interesting situation though for BetBoom to come in and try and fight. Again, you do have that double damage and they will actually end up popping it. But it looks like Lal, he might decide to push mid instead. No, they're going to go for a smoke. They are taking the fight down bot. It's a great opportunity MindGames, they are strong with this CK armlet up, but they definitely have to be a little bit wary about how much damage you can pump out here with this Storm. They are being watched as we speak. Seneko, Ice Path gonna land on two, and there's your Vortex in. In fact, no, it was just a zip. No Vortex yet. Pit of Malice to turn around. Disruption. It'll buy a bit of time for the Storm. He's fine for now. That Pit of Malice being very annoying, but they can chase down Notice. A great arena. Catching out the Underlord, and they even catch out Slayer. BetBoom. They play that very well. It's MindGames. Unable to really take the fight, forced to back off with only 3 members of their team. Just unable to find anything.
Yeah, they don't manage to find a punish. It was a good tornado to break it up. Einprad's still trying to go for mid.
Well, he's alive. In fact, they're going to try and turn now. The Invoker, dust will be popped. Jewel Breath does connect, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get within range to lock him down. Aincrad, he's going to be just fine. Even still spamming out the voice lines here on the Invoker. Does miss out on the Storm, though.
Yeah, but you hit that big timing now for BetBoom. Notice did have his blink, was just flying out when he TP'd down, but now he's got that blink initiation. They can play off the back of the arena constantly. They can start the fights easier now with Mars rather than waiting for that opportunistic ice path from outside of vision. And again, the issue stands for MindGames. Like, you do have Pit of Malice that can combine really well with a Tornado and EMP for control, and all of the Invoker spells, really, but you can't catch the side of BetBoom by surprise. That's just the nature of the Underlord on the offlane, unless you get a really good flank with Fiend's Gate and jump them in. Working the angles out with this kind of offlane is just not the same presence as Mars. You can play a really good stall game, keep building up on our CK here, work towards that Echo Saber, work towards the BKB, AC, get nice and beefy. But that does take some time, and the early spikes of the lineup of BetBoom just feel overwhelming. We're going to reach this point with the hack where he could just have his full AC up. It's going to be really tanky up front with the Gravekeeper's Cloak as well. I've seen him build up the Ags for the Silence the Grave, allows him to just peck and hunt from the sky. MindGames going to try to force something out. They've got the smoke out here.
Oh, another double damage though, John. Lal, he's got another one on him. And there's going to be a counter smoke immediately from BetBoom. They've been very good at just trying to take a full advantage over these power runes that Lal has gotten. He'll break his own smoke, though. As MindGames, they will sit back and relax, not showing anyone on the map. It's very hard for the jump to happen here from BetBoom. Just don't know which way to really go to catch somebody out. You've got the blink up on Notice, though, as well, so he definitely wants to go for the surprise reveal, and it seems like they might just find the Pugna, but the Pugna is not... Oh, Aincrad. That's a much better target if they can find it. Aincrad, oh, he's run forward. He may get caught out. Spear is going to land into the Macro Pyre and the Ice Path. And Aincrad, he's still running. A great Pit of Malice out. Patushra, he may have saved the day as Aincrad. He is still running around, still surviving. The Storm in trouble now, Lal. He's out of mana. He's going to find a way out of this. They will chase him down, though. Or can they?
Ooh.
Notice, he'll come back in. A great spear out. The Underlord's gone. Slayer, he'll be dropping a boot. In fact, Disruption is out onto the CK, and that's the big target you really wanted. Dino, he's going to drop. How did they make that one work, Jonathan? Pit of Malice catching out 4 on the staircase. Somehow they still make it work, though.
He managed to sustain true. The damage output of MG is just not high enough, and that kind of stems from just having that Underlord. Yeah, you've got the Pit of Malice. What's your follow-through for it outside of Invoker spells? We're not at critical mass for the damage output of the Invoker either. And as a support Pugna, you only have the level 1 Nether Blast, so you can't really melt heroes in that short control period from Patushra. And the side of BetBoom just manages to find the angle again. They have so much output with the hack up front. That Soul Assumption just builds so many charges up when everyone starts to drop low like that with the wide AoE spells you do have on MG, specifically that Firestorm. It just feeds into that constant Soul Assumption, and you still have a lot to grow into here on the Visage. You've got your level 15 talents, which is just ridiculous. Soul Assumption on 2 targets, again, pumping out more damage, and just constantly feeding into your own Soul Assumption once more. Pretty much 100% uptime at max charge if you manage to place yourself right. The side of MG just need this steady build up on Dino. You know, they just want the CK to be big and beefy. Absolutely needs the BKB rush here. Too much spell damage coming through from BetBoom until that point. I think the side of MG just has to take it easy. They've got 2 big farming cores. The Invoker can make plays. The issue is your two supports don't really sync up with the Invoker all too well. They don't really have the best stun setups by themselves to enable the Invoker to just chain stun his spells off. You kind of want that Underlord in, and he does have the Atos up, so that could be the turning point here for the side of MG, catching someone off. But it's just an issue of how do you jump anyone? Like, how do you catch the Storm off guard unless you get a good smoke with some wards? Beyond that situation, again, with a lack of instant blink initiators, at least until the CK, punishing BetBoom's lineup just seems fairly hard for MG.
That it does, John. And they are 1k net worth behind now here for MindGames. A bit of a tougher situation as the Hawk is just... He's still not high up in net worth, but it won't matter because he's getting the items he needs to become that real powerhouse as that Visage. His anchor at top lane. To try and set up with the Tornado, but unable to really get there. And then you've got the Storm BKB up as well, Lal. He was off to a really bad start for that laning stage against that Invoker, but now with the BKB up, he's going to be feeling very confident. They stare down the Underlord mid lane. They'll make the jump in with the Vortex. They've got plenty of controls. The arena is going to be dropped to boot. The Underlord still dropping. Life Train is there to try and help out, but it won't be enough as now Bignum. He'll be focused down by Lal. No problem. BetBoom finding another successful 2 kills. And they will drop nothing as they'll look towards the mid-tier 1 tower. We'll see if they want to commit for it, though. You've got the Huck around. You may as well try.
You've got the Familiars that does make the siege a lot faster. You've also got the Jakiro with that nice liquid fire to do a little bit of DOT. And it's just the lack of presence from MG. Like, you see how easy it is for BetBoom to turn around. As long as you manage to get the jump in the Storm, you've got the blink on your Mars. There's so many options for them to go in. Even the Familiar stun can be really big as well, as we've seen before. So it's just so much easier. For MindGames, they still need build-up. Perhaps, again, BKB on CK could be the turning point, still a ways off, and they've done a great job of buying that space out for Dino. It's still a CK farming up. He is number 1, but those items definitely have to come through first. Otherwise, there's just not enough. Like, you need that big front line, and it's not going to be your Underlord. As, you know, even if he's up there, he doesn't have any durability items of his own. So it really will be down to that CK with the spell immunity when he's ready. You are getting steady build up on everyone else, so you are not really lagging too far behind, although it's not ideal. We are seeing Einkrad going back for the Midas. His build up is still there. Larl?
A lot of Atos out. Lal, he's going to be alright. They don't really have the follow-up, but I guess they do reveal the lockdown here against BetBoom.
You gotta love the Visage up against the Pugna as well. The ward just melts with the Familiars, and you can just machine gun through towers, just like that.
Beautiful. You love to see it. Visage in the right hands, Jonathan, just such a strong hero. It's Lal. Looking for a power rune, but it is going to be up top, and he's going to find another very nice power rune. He'll get a regen this time around. You couldn't ask for much more as this Storm. And BetBoom really just dominating the map right here during this game number 1. MindGames, they've got to find a way to try and fight back. They'll smoke up at Seneko. He's going to break the smoke for the team, and he'll happily tank the gank. It's just not the target MindGames wanted. They'd love a bit more. They're going to go for a chase. Dino, be on the front lines, but is unable to find anything. In fact, Purge is out. Force Major. Gonna go for the banish as well. Spear, stun him up. They zip forward. Onto the Grimstroke they go with the BKB up. Lal, he'll go for the backside as Dino. He's gonna try and fight back. Arena drops down. He is all by himself. That's a really nice Arena from Noticed. He just zones everybody else out from MindGames, and they could not help out their carry. Very, very clean play from BetBoom.
And it's just really great positioning out from BetBoom as well. Like the fact that Seneko breaks the smoke forces MindGames to look for more because they're not satisfied. Causes them to fall further behind. And with those sets of kills, Roche begins AC up on the hack at 21 minutes in with the drums. This guy is just very hard to hold down. You have to think about that with the context of Brave Chill. He has so much attack speed, not just for himself, but the Familiars too. That's almost 100% uptime on that bonus attack speed and bonus move speed for this Visage. It's very, very overwhelming in this mid-game portion. Like, it's just so much damage, so much durability on that one hero. And even with the BKB, it's just not enough for Dino. Like, he is standing forward, he is able to fight. It does feel like he's going to need to gap close a lot better, just so they have that further reach. The blink has to come through here.
That's a lot of things right now that MindGames seem to need here, John. 4K behind. BetBoom again, just controlling the map so well right now. It's happy to stick as a unit. Another smoke out, just understanding how powerful they are as 5. Noticed. He'll move in on the front. He won't find Ankrad this time around. He does back off towards the base. Instead, though, it does seem like they are really just focused on trying to get this top tier 2 tower down. So Dahak, he'll get started on just clearing out the creep wave and setting up for that. And it doesn't seem like MindGames are quite interested already to be able to try and defend this top tier 2 tower. They'll just take the time to try to farm themselves up. And quite frankly, John, considering how the team fights have been going, I can't quite blame them. They are probably just better off going for the farm for now. They'll even find the mid-tier 1 tower here for MindGames. But again, they are going to lose a very early top tier 2, and well, that's going to lead to the outpost, and naturally the next Roshan is probably going to be controlled up here from BetBoom.
And again, there's not many options for MindGames. Just try to build up, although...
Noticed. Already jumping in. Patushara has been caught. Live train, not going to help so much. Macro was there. They've got the Underlord controlled up, and they'll take him down very easily. As now Lal, he'll go for a bit more. Onto the Grimstroke Slayer. He's been caught out. He'll go for the Shadow Amulet TP play out, but it's not going to be enough. In fact, Bignum, he'll try to live train as much as he possibly can, but it's just not going to do it. BetBoom finding another 3. A very dominant performance so far during this game 1.
Yeah, that's just rough going for MindGames. They're not finding the openings they want. They overstayed their welcome in that shove in bot. They are at least still getting this really good build-up on the CK. Blink finally up here for Dino, so feeling a lot better. They've got angles to jump in. It does look like he's also working towards the Mage Slayer, perhaps into the Bloodtorn. Having a little bit more control, having a way of mitigating some of that magic damage output as well. Stacking on top of the Nether Ward could be one way to prevent that instant burst from coming through. We'll see if it's going to be impactful down the line, but just with the blink alone, I feel like Dino should be able to join his team. They should be able to play with that Inkswell and start to play around with the chain stunts the Pit of Malice can give you.
This could be really bad. The CK gonna get the blink off. Really can't afford to lose the Chaos Knight right now. Highest net worth on the map, and you are just so heavily reliant on him being able to just overtake this game if you are MindGames. It seems like BetBoom, they're ready to go again. Overtaking that dire jungle. Moving into the triangle as well as Lal. You feel very confident with that Arcane Rune as well as the Aegis up. And BetBoom, they want to go for that mid-tier 2 tower. Dino, he'll get caught out. Lal, he's right in. It's so much damage already. They'll life train him up. Disruption, it'll save the Storm for now. He's still got the Aegis though, as now in the backside. Notice a great arena catching up the Invoker Ankrad. He can't help out the team, but he can survive. At least for now as Lal. He's going to come in and take down Slayer. Tushara, he'll try to run back towards the Dire base. The life train trying to help out, but it's just not going to be enough. They'll get another. As noticed, he's been caught on the Mars. It looks like MindGames, they'll find 2 for their own trouble. So overall, not the worst defense in the world. In fact, MindGames came out on top in terms of the net worth trade. So happy days for them.
Finally, a bit more of a win coming out from MindGames. You are seeing the effect of that BKB at least from Dino. He's managing to survive a little bit longer, needs engages, and of course if he does get a couple of lucky crits, does heal back relatively quick, and great use of the armlet as well. So we might have to see much more chained up stuns here from BetBoom. I do still enjoy the isolation coming out from our Mars. Really good arenas to cut off the rest of the team, but that does mean he's also not providing the damage to help handle that CK. And even with the output here on the hack, it's not quite enough. He does go for the 1.5 armor corruption on Visage and Familiar, so they're stacking up on minus armor, and they might find an angle.
Yeah, nice juke out from Lal. He's going to go in again and force the BKB out from Dino as Slayer. He's going to have to go down for the team. No chance of survival for the Grimstroke. It's BetBoom. It's running all over MindGames for now. They don't have the Aegis up, so they might have to just take it easy for a little bit here, BetBoom, but again, they control the outpost in the Dire side, and well, they will control the outpost. Right now, it is controlled by the Dire, but the Hawk can go ahead and take it right now. It seems like you are going to have first dibs on Roshan, and make matters worse again, John. Aghanim Scepter is now available on Lal. He's just been farming like an absolute king here on the Storm. That's going to make life even more difficult for MindGames.
And they've got a lot of chain stunts to play off the back of that Vortex. Just the AoE stun from the familiars with the Vortex on top, chain it properly, they're going to be down for a long time, and that's a really big window for the side of BetBoom to just apply that damage. Still the side of MindGames, they aren't out of it yet. It is a 6k lead, but their CK is getting bigger and bigger. They have an opportunity to play around. They could try to contest the fight here before we're close to Roche. Still a ways off until Roche, but finding a fight here could open up a little bit more of a push onto those tier 2s.
They do get a bit of a scan out. Just caught the tail end of BetBoom running out of the jungle. Looks like MindGames going to go and just get back into their own jungle. Maybe just take the outpost back for themselves. And it doesn't really seem like they're 100% interested in trying to force a big team fight right now. It's all about just trying to control different areas of the map and keep that farm going on the CK. More BetBoom. They might be the ones to try and force the fight with the smoke. Both teams just very grouped up. Always as 5. They do stare at each other across the river. Full damage. Oh, it's going to spawn up. Do they want to use it as bait? No, not quite, Dino. He'll just go ahead and take it himself. Not wanting to give it away to the Storm, and they are going to go for another 5-man smoke here, MindGames. With double damage, the amount of damage output you can get out with the CK is kind of insane now as they do move in. Dahak, he's got the familiars around. Oh, no. They do break the smoke here on the Underlord. Slayer also has his own smoke broken, and the pings are coming out now. BetBoom very well aware of where MindGames have gone because they've got the vision from the familiars, though. Dahak, he's gone forward. He's going to take a lot of damage here, but notice he does move in. Spear, it's not going to land on the Underlord, but they've already got Slayer down. Dino, he's in the middle of everybody. He's just copying way too much damage. Another arena down. Dino being life drained up, but it's not going to be enough. Bignum's gone to boot. BetBoom, they play them like a fiddle once again. Even with the double damage, it's just not enough.
They can't burst down the Visage. They get started on the Huck. I mean, he's got the AC. He's got the Gravekeeper's Cloak constantly recharging up. He is next to impossible to kill, and he's even got that shard up, so he can just stone form himself to restore some of the HP in the middle of a fight. He is not the target you want to jump first, but that still begs the question, who can you jump first? Perhaps you just go for the backline supports. Maybe taking out Force Major here might be a good way to go. Taking away the Disruption save, taking away the Demonic Purge ability in the middle of these engagements might make things simpler for the side of MindGames, because sure, the Visage is strong, it is the big core, you just don't have enough of a window to kill him off. Like that's a CK with DD, and that was with the Phantasm pop. Still not enough to really put a dent there, and the saves did come out from BetBoom. Really good disruption from Force Major to cut off the CK even further and just buy that time for the rest of the team to collapse on top. Roche is back up here. BetBoom, they still have control of the outpost. No forward vision, but you probably don't need much with familiars that can scout around for you as Roche starts to drop low. And MG also don't have forward wards anyway, so they can't even come in with they can't even know that it's happening right now, and they're gonna miss that opportunity.
Absolutely. Roshan going to go freely the way of BetBoom. And John, quite frankly, even if they know what's happening, it doesn't feel like you can really force the fight. When you saw last fight, they had DD on the CK and it just didn't matter. They could not deal with the Visage. Just way too tanky. Now, you've got an Aegis up on Lal. Things get even more difficult. MindGames backs against the wall here for game 1. 15k behind now for the Dire. Zaneko's already getting those wards down in that triangle, trying to spot out anybody. Run MindGames. And I suppose you could go through the mid lane and try to force a fight that way, but you've also got the outer objectives on the bot lane if you want to just take those out instead. It's like Lal, they'll TP back down to the bot lane and just trying to address the creep wave moving in. So he'll be just fine to get away with that. Nobody around to try and snipe him.
Yeah, MindGames just playing a lot more conservatively and not going too far forward from any spot that BetBoom can easily catch him off guard with. I think for the side of MindGames, like we talked about the Underlord pick a little bit there, Mike. And there is a lot of potential coming true with the Fiend's Gate. We haven't seen the offensive use of it all too much. I think that's one way MindGames might be able to find an angle. Smoke somewhere off the map, get the portal in on a location BetBoom has no vision on, and get a really interesting flank with a smoke. Could be one way to catch BetBoom off guard. It's just a consideration. Might be too risky for them to consider, considering map state. Oh no.
Yeah, he's in. Look at the damage output from these familiars. My God. Oh, what? You've got to tip the guy. What else can you do? Meanwhile, mid lane, it really is, John. They'll force the BKB out of the CK as they're onto Petushra now on the Underlord as he'll try to make the run with his own BKB. He'll make it out. But you're 2 down. 3v5 scenario for MindGames to try and defend this mid-tier 3 tower. We'll see if they can make it work. I mean, at the very least, they do have the buybacks, and it doesn't seem like BetBoom are going to rush for this. Like the Hawk?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Here we go. Arena down. Onto the Underlord. They've got him. Life Drain is out. Decrepify. It's just not going to be enough. Noticed. Find the CK, but unable to lock him down as now there's it forward. Vortex is there. Lal onto 2. They've got the Chaos Knight. He's copping so much damage. Dino's gone. And they make it look so easy here, BetBoom. Is Lal even thinking about diving tier 4s? They won't go for it. They'll focus on the tier 3 towers. This game is starting to feel rather impossible now for MindGames to try and claw back. As BetBoom, they are just well and truly online, and Ainkrad, he's still going to cop a tip here from Lal. Lal never forgets.
Certainly not. Inside of MindGames, I mean, they allow the Hawk to pick up the Visage. After seeing what happened in the last series we saw BetBoom play and knowing that he's a specialist on this hero, and it doesn't look like they have answers at all. Like, the Underlord didn't do much in the lane. They will catch out Laurel at least here.
He's gonna age us up though. He doesn't mind the reset if he does go down, and they do get him. In the meantime, Seneko being chased down, but Ainkrad may have gone too far. He'll back off just in the nick of time as they are trying to focus down the Storm a second time. Disruption is there to save though. He is not dropping yet. Still so many routes out. They will get the Storm. That's a great kill out for MindGames. And with that, BetBoom, they've seen enough. They've taken the mid-racks, and that's going to be enough for them now. They'll back off. MindGames, they'll have another chance at this game 1.
Yeah, playing around a little bit there for BetBoom onto the high ground. MindGames does manage to get a successful defense off them. They still lose their racks, but they don't lose anymore. Get to keep themselves in that game. They get the Ags up on Ainkrad. So you've got that potential now with Pit of Malice to maybe time yourself for a good Cataclysm. If you do manage to get some follow-up stunts in that pit, that could be one way to turn. It does give them a lot of teamfight presence now as well. Inside of MindGames. I mean, they're still growing really big on CK. He has started to lag behind. It's a 20k lead for BetBoom. So the farm distribution for MindGames isn't looking the cleanest, but that CK can still do work if you give it the right circumstances. Still trying to finish up that full Bloodtorn, trying to save for the buyback alongside it, so it's still going to be a ways off. Side of BetBoom, they do have that overwhelming blink on Notice, and he's done a fantastic job in this Mars. Has a refresh up as well. You said in the last fight, and now even just blinking in is going to break up the side of MindGames a ton. He's just been pretty much unstoppable once he gets that BKB off and just allowed to cut off the map. So, BetBoom, everyone's going to be back up in a few seconds. They will just go for a preemptive smoke and just go hunting.
Bot lane is where they're headed. BetBoom. Never mind, they'll go into that dire triangle. They want to make sure nobody from MindGames is around that area. They're going to be around. Just control that triangle. In fact, it was actually, the camps were blocked knowing they were coming in. The Hawk will get to work just farming up once again on that Visage. MindGames just going to have to go to the other side of the jungle and farm up there instead. Take their outpost back for now. The mid lane is currently being watched here on this CK is into Hawk with these familiars. He can just be so sneaky with that Aghanim Scepter up. Those Invis familiars as they are going to spawn out Bignum. The Hawk will just deal with that Nether Ward for now. Wants none of that available.
man. Like, I'm loving this Visage build. Like, you know, most people would go for the Soul Assumption talent. And when you go for the Ags, though, this armor corruption on your machine gun familiars just does so much. And you have the added move speed from level 20. It just snowballs so hard when you're winning. It can be hard to stop. And they try to melt through the familiars, at least cut them off, so they aren't getting caught out. But MindGames just has no map to play with. They're stuck on high ground, they don't have waves to shove in, and they're not farming. And again, I think you are getting decent follow-through here from Dino. He does have the full blood torn up. That might give them an opening. It still doesn't quite feel like enough, but they will try to go for a smoke play at the least.
Who do they find? Who's very hesitant here from MindGames. They'll see Lal in the mid lane, but he's got the BKB ready to go. What's the other fold? The 4 Null Talisman's build. He's got the Ags Blessing already going for Lal, so he's 6 slotted right now, John. This is the meta we're in. You know, this is balanced, the Storm Spirit build. Even with the Fairy Shrinket. Tier 1 neutral item, by the way.
It's too good, man. What can you do? Too much value there. Just stacking up the mana cost reduction. The state of the times we're in, Mike. Still, I mean, MindGames, again, it just feels like they have angles to take, though. Right? Like, with the Fiend's Gate, you should be able to smoke and sneak behind, although...
Oh, zip in. Vortex out. They've got Ankrad. And he just gets deleted so darn quick as Slayer's been caught out again. They'll at least find Force Major. But that was his BKB used up. The CK in massive trouble as a double arena's been dropped by Notice. And poor old CK, he's just gone. As Lal, he'll go for another. They'll force the GG call out. BetBoom just looking way too strong. At least for game number 1. And it might just go back to what you mentioned, John. You probably can't afford to give Visage to this team.
No, it's certainly looking that way, Mike. The hack just knows how to work that hero in lane. MindGames, they go with the Underlord off lane. It doesn't really do much to stop a Visage in that lane. And it didn't give them playmaking. Like, you had a CK safe lane instead of, say, an off lane CK with a bigger pause 1. The Underlord, Pit of Malice could set up well, but your supports don't really do much for that. And as an Underlord, you don't necessarily want to be in the middle of that pit as well. So it's all down to, like, Invoker combinations, which were sort of landing, not quite there. And it just felt like the game got out of hand for MindGames way too early on. BetBoom just had a great time. Sure, there was a really good match for Einkrad on mid. Like, we weren't getting as much runes there for Laurel as he would have wanted to. He did a great job of forcing the Storm away for a long time, forcing him to jungle until he hit level 6. Just not enough when you had pretty much a free game for Visage and had that really good timing into the drums, into the AC, and just saw him running around and machine gunning everyone down.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give props as well, right? Like, you saw Lal in the mid lane just doing fantastic. I mean, everyone on the side of BetBoom just playing to perfection here in game number 1. Though we are gonna have, of course, another, at least one game, because it is a best of 3 finals here between these two teams. So hopefully, we'll get another draft going very, very soon. And of course, after a very short break, we'll be back with game number 2. We'll see you then.